Welcome to Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Uyai Aniakan coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the major stories. Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima sworn in as President and Vice President of Nigeria. Pastor Mo Basieno sworn in as 5th civilian governor of Akwa Ibom State. Plus, plastic recycling in focus as countries meet in Paris for treaty talks. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good evening and thanks for joining us. First in the news tonight is an inauguration update where Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima have been sworn in as President and Vice President of Nigeria. Tinubu, aged 71 and former Lagos State Governor, was sworn in today at the Eagle Square in the nation's capital city, Abuja. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Aruwola, administered the oath of office to Tinubu and his deputy, Kashim Shettima, at the swearing-in ceremony. The ceremony was witnessed by Tinubu's predecessors, including Muhammadu Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan, African leaders, family members, and other dignitaries. In a related development, President Bola Tinubu has made his first set of appointments as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In the appointments, he named Ambassador Kunle Adeleke as the State Chief of Protocols, COP, to the President. He also appointed former Lagos State Commissioner of Information Dele Alake as Presidential Spokesman and Olusegun Dada, Special Advisor on Digital Media. Meanwhile, amid heavy downpour, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his deputy, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, today took the oath of office and became the governor and deputy of Lagos State, promising residents to still expect a lot more from his administration in several areas. Recall that Sanwo-Olu, in a landslide victory over his opponent Jimmy Agbaje of People's Democratic Party, PDP, was elected to the office of Governor of Lagos State at the 2019 Lagos State gubernatorial election held on March 9, 2019, and sworn in as the 15th governor at TBS Lagos Island. Sanwo-Olu remarkably emerged as the winner of the March 9, 2023 governorship election of Lagos State, defeating his closest rival of Labour Party, Gbadebo Rhodes Vivo, and People's Democratic Party, PDP, Olajide Adediran, as the third runners-up. In the meantime, similarly, Fubara has today sworn in as the 4th governor of Rivers since 1999, while Professor Ngozi Odu took oath of office as the deputy governor of the oil-rich state. Reports say the oath of office was administered to the governor and his deputy in Port Harcourt by the state's chief judge, Justice Chibuzo Amadi. Former Governor Nyesom Wike handed over the flag of the state and an handover note to the new governor. In his inaugural speech, Fubara thanked the people of Rivers for their dedication, resilience, and commitment to democratic process. He promised to consolidate on the gains recorded by the administration of his predecessor on infrastructure, economy, health, agriculture, security, education, and youth empowerment, among others. In a related development, Gombe State Governor Muhammadu Yahaya and his deputy Dr. Manasseh Jatol today were sworn in for a second term of office at the Pantami Stadium. Reports say the colorful parade was led by ASP Mahid Abubakar, the police public relations officer at Gombe State Command. Yahaya took his oath of allegiance administered by the Chief Judge of Gombe State, Justice Halima Mohammed, while his two wives looked on. Speaking, Yahaya pledged to be fair to all and sundry irrespective of political, religious and tribal differences, adding that the interest of the state would supersede personal considerations in his second term in office. According to him, his second term would help him consolidate the gains of his first term in office, vowing to reposition the state to the path of honor. Elsewhere, the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has been sworn in for a second term in office. Mohammed and his deputy Awal Jatel were accompanied by their spouses, friends and family members to the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium, Bauchi, where they were sworn in. The oath of office and allegiance were administered to both Mohammed and his deputy by the Chief Judge of the state, Rabi Umar. Shortly after being sworn in, Mohammed, in a speech titled My Bauchi Project, consolidating the mandate to place Bauchi first, said he accepted his re-election for another term as a call to serve, not because he was the most qualified, but because it was a divine mandate. He said his re-election represented a validation of his performance during his first term in office, adding that he would do more. Meanwhile, Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State has kick-started his second tenure administration with a resolve to reopen more displaced communities to accelerate the rebooting of the economy of the insurgency-battered state. Already over 1 million IDPs have been relocated to over 20,000 houses in their ancestral communities over the last 4 years. Taking the second term oath of office today, Zulum also announced plans to recruit 5,000 teachers and 1,500 health workers and establish microfinance banks in each of the 27 local government areas of the state. In a related development, Dr. Ahmed Aliyu was today sworn in as Sokoto State Governor at the inauguration ceremony held in Guinea Stadium, Sokoto. The Chief Judge of the state, Justice Saidu Sifawa, administered the oath of office to Aliyu shortly after Idris Gobia, his deputy, had taken his oath of office. In his inaugural speech, Aliyu invited the opposition in the state to join hands with him towards rebuilding the state. The governor also assured that his administration will be all-inclusive. Meanwhile, Dr. Alex Oti has been sworn in as the new governor of Abia State. Oti took his oath of office at midday during the inauguration held at the Umuahia Township Stadium. He was sworn in by the Abia Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Lillian Abai, with Oti's deputy Ikechi Valentine Emetu present. Reports say Peter Obi was represented by the vice presidential candidate Yusuf Baba Ahmed. Back here, there has been a change of baton in the leadership of Akwa Ibom State as Pastor Umar Basieno takes oath of office for a 4-year term as the 5th civilian governor of the state, with Dr. Akon Eyayin as his deputy. Pastor Umoino succeeds Udom Emmanuel, who has been on the saddle for the past 8 unbroken years. Our correspondent has the details.
Pastor Mo Basino has been sworn in as the 5th civilian governor of Akwa Ibom State. Senator Akon Eyayin was also sworn in as the deputy governor of the state. The chief judge of the state, Justice Ekai Tobot, administered the oath of office, an oath of allegiance on Pastor Moino and Senator Eyayin at the Nest of Champions here. In his inaugural address, the new governor of the state, Pastor Moino, said his administration will create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive in the state, while massively investing in agriculture as a way of creating employment and income for the people.
As we begin this government, we will invite all Akwa Ibomites to arise to the faith of greatness with our rice agenda, from investment in agriculture, healthcare delivery services, education. We will ensure, and then to ensure that we continue changing the narratives.
Pastor Eno promised to complete all ongoing projects and expand infrastructures to all parts of the state and continue with the Christ-centric government promoted by the immediate past administration of Dom Emmanuel. The governor charged the political class to close ranks and work with his administration to develop the state.
Monumental developmental strides across all sectors, and will continue to build on the successes of the Deacon Udom Gabriel Emmanuel's administration. We will maintain and advance world-class infrastructure that our state has become known for nationally and complete those that were started by our predecessor. I am very sure all of you patriotic citizens of Akwa Ibom State will join hands with me to further push the development strides as handed down by my worthy predecessor.
The new governor of the state, Pastor Moino, earlier inspected a parade in his honor, mounted by men and officers of the Nigerian Police Force. In Uyo, Jane Owa, Spectrum Television News.
In another development, the former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has arrived in Katsina State after handing over to the new president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It will be recalled that Buhari and his wife, Aisha Buhari, left the inauguration venue in Abuja immediately after handing over to Tinubu. Buhari's aide Bashir, who made the announcement, said the former president was received by the new executive governor of the state, Diko Umaru, sharing pictures of his arrival. Bashir wrote, "Almadulai arrived Katsina safely." Meanwhile, former President Buhari yesterday approved the appointment of the outgoing member of the House of Representatives for Kano Municipal, Shaiban Sharada, as Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children. Announcing the appointment via a press release, former presidential spokesperson Gabra Shehu said the appointment was sequel to the outgone president's assent to the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children Education Bill 2023. According to him, the bill seeks to provide multi-modal system of education to tackle the menace of illiteracy, develop skill acquisition and entrepreneurship programs, and prevents youth poverty, delinquency, and destitution in Nigeria. In the meantime, the immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday, on his last official assignment in office, assent to the National Assembly Service Pensions Board Bill and two others. In a statement signed by Babajide Omorore, he said it was in furtherance of the provisions of Section 58 of the Constitution and the Acts of Authentication Act Cap A2, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. Buhari also passed into law the establishment of the Almajiri National Commission and the Federal Road Safety Commission Training Institute. Elsewhere, the outgone President Muhammadu Buhari, a few hours before exiting office through the Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika, constituted the boards of aviation agencies. This was contained in a statement made available by the former head press and public relations of the ministry, Oluseyi Odutayo. The agencies include the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, and the recently created Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau. The statement noted that the president has considered the requirements in approving the memberships and hope that they will play the necessary roles in furthering the development of the sector as a new administration takes over. Meanwhile, former President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the renaming of 15 airports after some prominent Nigerians. According to the head of press and public affairs of the Ministry of Aviation, Odutayo Oluseyi, the airports include Akure International Airport, named after Olumuyiwa Bernard Aliyu, Benin International Airport, now known as Oba Akinzua II. Dutse International Airport, renamed Mohammed Nuhu Sanusi. Ebonyi International Airport, now known as Chuba Wilberforce, and Gombe International Airport, renamed Brigadier Zachary Maulari, among others. Now, from the Red Chamber, the Senate has indicted the Federal Mortgage Bank FMB for non-recovery of loans and illegal award of contracts to the tune of 4.5 billion naira. The Red Chamber arrived at the decision following the report of its Public Accounts Committee, chaired by Senator Matthew Gorinde, PDP Edo South, after the consideration of 2018 report of the Auditor General for the Federation. The Senate panel then ordered the FMB to account for the sum of 3.0 billion naira contracts that were irregularly awarded. From the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has approved an amendment to the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Act, raising the ceiling of ways and means advances from the Apex Bank from 5 to 15%. The House gave the approval at an emergency sitting in concurrence with the Senate, which held an emergency plenary to consider and approve some economic bills. The National Assembly made the move amidst alleged criticism that the federal government had obtained WMAs beyond the 5% threshold of the CBN. According to the lawmakers, the act would enable the federal government to meet its immediate and future obligation in the approval of the ways and means by the National Assembly and advances to the federal government by the CBN. In a sad development, founder of Dark Communications, owners of AIT and Ray Power FM, High Chief Raymond Dokbesi, is dead. He was said to have died in the early hours of today in an Abuja hospital. The media mogul, who was Deputy Director General of Technical and Systems of the Atiku Abubakar's presidential campaign, was said to have suffered stroke. He was 75. Still to come in the news. Lira at record lows. Do stay with us for details after the break.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security.
Education, health,
Lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyekene
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. We move to Africa, where Russian Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov has arrived in Kenya on an unannounced trip. Moscow's Ministry of Foreign Affairs made the announcement of Lavrov's arrival in Nairobi via a tweet without giving further details on the visit, saying it would be a fruitful week for Russia-Kenya bilateral relations. Lavrov's visit comes days after Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba made an African tour last week. Still in Africa, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has assented to the controversial anti-homosexuality bill despite condemnation of Western countries and human rights activists. The bill was first passed by members of parliament in March but was returned to the parliament for amendment. In the new law, the offense of homosexuality is now limited to gay sexual acts. People convicted under the clause face life imprisonment. The legislation also prescribes death penalty for aggravated offenses in cases of sexual abuse against a minor, a disabled person, or where a victim of abuse is infected with a lifelong illness. Members of the public will also be required to report to the authorities any form of homosexual abuse against children or other vulnerable people. The law initially criminalized identifying as a sexual minority, but Museveni argued that this would have led to the arrest and prosecution of people for just their physical appearance. In the meantime, Ghana President Nana Akufo-Addo has said that the $3 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund (IMF) will not immediately address the country's economic challenges. In a televised address to the nation, the Ghanaian president said that the IMF bailout would restore confidence and put the country's economy back on a sound footing. He acknowledged that seeking help from the IMF was a painful but necessary decision to help the economy recover from the impact of the global pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Akufo-Addo added that the situation, his administration will clamp down on tax evaders and review existing tax laws.
Rationalization of our expenditures, the rationalization of government expenditures is something that we have given the assurance. The domestic revenue mobilization is absolutely critical for us. Already we're beginning to see signs of that. We are the fiscal deficit to come back within the thresholds that we have a law, a fiscal responsibility law in Ghana, which has pegged our fiscal deficits at 5%. At the moment is way above that, and the sooner we can bring that again to a more acceptable threshold, the better it is for our economy. So these are all several areas of activity that we see as being absolutely essential for the future of our.
Still in Ghana, where one person has died while 50 others are missing after a boat accident on Ghana's Black Volta River in the Savannah region. According to authorities, the boat capsized while transporting passengers from Dakrchina to Nkpandai in the Borno East region. The Bole District Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Kipo Sulemana, said that the boat, which was overloaded with passengers and goods, hit a tree stump in the river and capsized. Elsewhere, Senegalese authorities have said that the police force has reportedly ended opposition leader Ousmane Sonko's march across the country by arresting him and forcefully returning him to Dakar. According to Interior Minister Antoine Diome, the clashes between Sonko's supporters and the police had allegedly resulted in one death, disclosing that weapons were found in the vehicle transporting him. Diome added that the opposition leader should have requested prior authorization before organizing the march. Meanwhile, the South African authorities are investigating an incident in which newborn babies were placed in cardboard boxes instead of incubators or cribs in Northwest Province. Reports say the incident is in Mekeng Provincial Hospital's neonatal section came to light after a Facebook post showed babies wrapped in purple hospital blankets with nasogastric tubes and placed in brown boxes. Meanwhile, Northwest Health Chief Mabdoda Sambatha said they were investigating the matter to establish how long the babies had stayed in the boxes. Sabatha apologized and called for calm while the matter is being investigated. In the meantime, Malawi authorities have ended a corruption trial against former President Bakili Muluzi. Muluzi served 2 5-year terms as president between 1994 and 2004, but he was charged 5 years after he left office. According to reports, he and his former personal secretary, Leon Whiskey, were charged with abuse of public funds amounting to 1.7 billion kwacha. Meanwhile, today, the Malawi High Court said it had freed Muluzi from all charges following a decision by the country's head of public prosecutions to discontinue the case. Muluzi has always protested his innocence, saying the case was a political prosecution by the government of his successor, Bingu Mutharika, with whom they fell out. Meanwhile, drone strikes in Libya have killed at least 2 people and wounded several others, including the nephew of a Libyan member of parliament. The strikes, which hit parts of Al-Maya port in the northwest, followed others. Meanwhile, politicians in the country's eastern-based parliament have accused the Tripoli-based National Unity Government, GNU, of targeting the home of the local member of parliament, Ali Boriziba. The GNU has denied this, saying the drones were aimed at drug smugglers and people traffickers operating at Al-Maya port. Libya has been plagued by more than a decade of violence ever since the NATO-backed toppling of former President Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. On the foreign scene, the ultimate political survivor Erdogan, 69, has overcome jail and bloody 2016 coup attempt to steer his country through an era of diplomatic clout, economic development and political strife. An unprecedented opposition coalition galvanized by a biting economic crisis and fury over Kalmykia's February earthquakes represented the toughest National Electoral Commission for the Islamic-rooted conservative. But while polling forecast he was closer to defeat than ever, Erdogan beat the odds yet again to come within a whisker of winning in the first African round before clinching victory on Sunday. He defeated his secular opposition rival Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu by 4 percentage points, closer than any other election, but enough to end his political career undefeated in national polls. His aura of invincibility reaffirmed none can deny Turkey's longest-serving leader is the country's most consequential since Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the revered founder of the post-Ottoman Republic. Still on the foreign scene, China's first domestically manufactured large passenger jet has successfully completed its maiden commercial flight. It was built by the Commercial Aviation Corporation of China, but the 164-seater still relies heavily on Western companies, including engines and avionics. Meanwhile, Ukraine officials have said that the country has witnessed another wave of overnight drone and missile attacks, with most of the airstrikes targeting Kyiv. The Ukraine ambassador, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Alexander Sheber, disclosed that the last few days had been very difficult for Kyiv residents, noting that there were no casualties recorded, but falling drone debris damaged buildings and caused fires. Reports say explosions were also heard in the Lviv, Odessa, Vinnytsia, and Klemenskis regions. In the meantime, ahead of the talk starting today in Paris, many countries have said a goal of the treaty should be circularity or keeping already produced plastic items in circulation as long as possible. Reports say the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, hosting the talks, released a blueprint for reducing plastic waste by 80% by 2040. In the report issued earlier this month, it outlined 3 key areas of action: reuse, recycling, and reorientation of plastic packaging to alternative materials. Meanwhile, some environmental groups criticized the report for focusing on waste management, which they saw as a concession to the global plastics and petrochemicals industry. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden Ukem.
It's another business week, and my name is Blyden Ukem. Good evening. It's another business week, and my name is Blyden Ukem. In the news, we begin with Turkish currency lira, as lira is at record low. The Turkish lira weakened to a fresh record low of above 20 per dollar after Tayyip Erdogan won the presidency in a runoff election, extending his rule for a third decade. Investors will now be waiting for any signs as to whether the unorthodox policy mix will continue in the country. So far this year, the lira already lost more than 6%. Meanwhile, the Borsa Istanbul 100 index rose as much as 3.2% to around the 4,700 level. In Africa, South Africa's currency rand remained subdued. The South African rand was trading around 19.7 per US dollar in late May, not far from a recent record low of 19.8 and down about 7% against the greenback this month. Prolonged power cuts have negatively impacted economic activity and continued to sticky inflation in South Africa, leading to a significant depreciation of the currency. Furthermore, compounding these challenges are a recent diplomatic issue with the US over South Africa's ties with Russia, and remarks in the latest monetary policy statement that the South African Reserve Bank expected further currency weakness ahead. The central bank lifted the benchmark rate by a larger than expected 50 basis points to a 14-year high of 8.25% on May 25th, saying its restrictive policy stance was necessary to curb inflation. In Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has hinted that there will be a thorough house cleaning in the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to ensure Nigeria becomes a country with a single exchange rate. Nigeria currently runs multiple exchange rates, with the official and black market jostling for foreign exchange buyers. The multiple exchange rates have often been criticized by the private sector. Also, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the World Bank have spoken against the multiple exchange rates and advised the Nigerian government to match them. According to analysts, his house cleaning comment was directed at the central bank, which is headed by Godwin Emefiele, who he previously accused of trying to derail his presidential ambition by initiating the Naira redesign policy. He projected that in the first term of his administration, the Naira exchange rate to dollar will trade at 200 Naira, which is close to the level it was before Buhari became president. Still in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has made a major policy pronouncement in his first day in office, declaring that fuel subsidy is gone. Tinubu, who said this today in his inaugural speech at the Eagle Square, said the budget that is left for him does not have provision for subsidy. He further stated that subsidies on fuel products, especially petrol, cannot be sustained or paid for, adding that the money used for subsidy will now be channeled to better usage for the benefit of Nigerians. Meanwhile, the federal government declared today, May 29th, as public holiday for the inauguration of the president, and the stock market will only reopen tomorrow. This is all on business news, and back to Uyai Anekan for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Blyden. Still to come in the news. FIFA confirms 5 fixtures for round of 16. Do stay with us for details after this time out.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by cross them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. We move to health, where the public health physicians have revealed that people who live alone are at risk higher risk of cardiovascular diseases and other ailments. Speaking with newsmen, a professor of public health at the University of Ilorin, Kwara State, Professor Tanimola Akande, said a public health physician, Dr. Timothy Olusegun, said loneliness reduces the number of antibodies produced to fight infection, saying that this may make the body more susceptible to cancer. The noting that loneliness releases excess stress hormones, causing an elevated heart rate and increased blood pressure and blood sugar levels, which are all classified under cardiovascular diseases, adding that the people who are isolated and lonely have been known to engage in activities that can worsen their health. Still in health, nutrition experts have warned that people who experience unexplained weight loss may be suffering from malnutrition, cancer, or cardiovascular diseases, among others. According to a senior dietitian at Berkshire Health, United Kingdom, Deborah Ayodeji, in an interview with newsmen, said those who lose weight suddenly and for no apparent reason should be worried and consult medical experts to ascertain the cause. Ayodeji noted that an unexplained weight loss that is not well managed might worsen if there is an underlying illness and may finally result in death. Speaking in the same vein, a registered dietitian and nutritionist at Diet 234, a telenutrition platform, Obianuju Ojikwe, added that people should be concerned if they dropped more than 5% of their body weight in a 6-month period, and stressed the need to take a balanced diet as one of the preventive measures. In sports, at least 5 of the 8 round of 16 fixtures at the ongoing Under-20 FIFA World Cup have been confirmed. The first game will see the USA take on New Zealand on Tuesday by 6:30 p.m. Pakistan faces Israel in another last 16 clash on the same day by 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Colombia takes on Slovakia in the first clash. Brazil's opponents for their game at the same time is yet to be confirmed. Reports say Nigeria will need to get past host Argentina if they want to play in the quarterfinals. The game is scheduled for Wednesday at 10 p.m. England faces fellow Europeans Italy at the same time. Meanwhile, Uruguay and Ecuador will play their round of 16 fixtures on Thursday, but their opponents are yet to be confirmed. Still in sport, Paris Saint-Germain superstar Kylian Mbappe has sent a message to teammate Lionel Messi after the Frenchman won the Ligue 1 Player of the Year award. The French attacker acknowledged the contribution from Messi after he claimed the award for the 2022-2023 season. Mbappe has been the PSG standout player, helping them win the title this season. The Frenchman scored 28 goals and made 6 assists from 33 matches in Ligue 1 this season. Mbappe is currently 1 goal clear of Lyons Alexandra in the top scorers chart. Meanwhile, Borussia Dortmund's England midfielder Jude Bellingham has been named the Bundesliga Player of the Season. Bellingham was key in his side's title challenge, but a 2-2 draw with Mainz on the final day of the season saw them lose out to Bayern Munich. Reports say the midfielder scored 8 goals and provided 5 assists in 31 league appearances this season as Dortmund finished runners-up and is being tipped to join Real Madrid this summer in a deal worth more than 100 million euros. On our entertainment news, microblogging platform Twitter has removed the verification tag attached to the account of the former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. It, however, left the verification tag of the former President Muhammadu Buhari. The special verification tag prior to its removal was designed for officials of government. As at now, Osinbajo has 4.2 million followers on Twitter and has tweeted 3,943 tweets. On the other hand, Buhari, who has 4.6 million and has tweeted 5,872 tweets, still has his verification tag. Finally, in the news tonight, the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs has announced 339 prominent Nigerians and recipients of the 2023 National Honours. Some entertainers, including singer David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, were awarded the Officer of the Order of the Niger. The singer, alongside others awarded, will officially receive their medals and certificates on June 1, 2023. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Uyai Aniekem. Thanks for watching, and I do hope you have a great night rest. Good night.